Welcome to another podcast of At Witt's End. We're at the point where we don't remember what episode this is, so I guess that's a good sign.
21, I believe.
Yeah, I'm Ken. That's Carson. And this time I'm going to see that's Carson. We'll see if it points at him in the video.
How many miles away am I?
6,000 miles away. How many hours difference?
Did you remember? Do you remember?
9.
Oh, good. You remember this time?
So it's morning here in the States. We actually had a little rain today, Carson, during the evening. So
you've had a lot of rain lately, so it's not like it's a weird thing.
Well, it was sunny for about 4 days. What about you? Sub freezing?
It's been raining and a little bit of snow. A little bit of snow here, a lot of rain. I assume in the mountains, been a lot of snow. But it's supposed to be sunny the next week or so.
So there are not sheets of ice on the ground or anything.
No. Chilly but sunny. So that's
gotcha.
Not too bad. But I guess so. You went traveling this past last weekend? That's we didn't put out an episode because we're doing stuff
traveling. Went to the great state of Colorado.
We're so busy. Wow, you called it a great state. Interesting.
I like Colorado's good.
Discussion for another time.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the states being invaded by Californians. Colorado's.
But it was already
Colorado. It was already
it's
there.
Already a California type state, so it's not really. It's not.
It is a weird state in that. I think it was the first state to legalize pot years ago.
One of two.
So capitalism went in. People's warehouses were bought up to grow pot, process pot. There's a lot of, but it's an outdoor state too. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah,
state.
it's actually very similar to California in that state. I think.
Yeah, without the beaches.
Yeah, it's just it doesn't have instead of beaches it has lowland grasses, and it doesn't really have valleys because it's just half mountain, half lowland grasses. So I wouldn't call any of it a valley.
Denver is pretty much surrounded by the Rockies, some of the greatest skiing in the world.
If you look at it with if you look at Denver on a map and north is up, kind of. To the left is the Rockies and the Great Wall of the west, and to the right is the Great Open Area of the east. And
basically, the land of winter wheat and flatness. And I've driven it and showed you many a times.
Yeah,
but it is somewhat similar to California. Housing costs recently have gone up. Downtown Denver has kind of exploded with gentrification. But
the only thing I was going to say the only thing with Colorado though is it's basically a one metro state. Like it's really just Denver, and then there's stuff to get to Denver, and there's suburbs like big cities on the outside of Denver. But there's nothing else in the other parts.
And that's kind of what we did. We didn't even go into Denver proper. If you're familiar with the airport, it's kind of way out of town, or it was way out of town. Denver's kind of expanded to meet the airport now. You got the huge Gaylord Convention Center there now. They have the rail system out there now. But there's a bunch of communities surrounding Denver. Everything from Golden, Colorado Springs to the south. Not surrounding, that's a whole different town. But Loveland, that's where we went. We went to Loveland because a friend of mine, who I've known for a few years, does a event that I believe is in its 26th or 7th year. So when I tell people where I'm going, they always ask about it. So I thought we'd chat about it a little bit. It's called the IME Roadkill Parties. Like I said, it's been going on for many years, and maybe someday we have Mark on or something to talk about it. But it started, I want to say, about 25 to 27 years ago. Colorado is a hunter's paradise, and so a bunch of hunters, actually not a bunch, I think it was 3 or 4, they got together, got a case of beer, listened to the radio, and cooked up their kill. I think at the time it was probably elk. So it kind of grew over time, and the years I've been going, I want to say it's a few hundred people, It is kegs of beer, Coors Light, of course, with some of the microbrews from the area that people bring. But Coors is a primary because Coors comes from Golden, Colorado.
The real
They
Coors or the water Coors?
the real Coors and the water, both. I like the watered down Coors Light. I think it's the number one beer now. I'm not sure. And for those of you not familiar with Coors, brewed in Golden, Colorado, Carson's been on the tour. Um, Back when I grew up, you couldn't get Coors anywhere. So a lot of people went and drove to Colorado, filled up their cars with Coors, and brought it back to their states. I mean, it kind of had a following behind it. It was kind of legendary, but so that's Coors. But anyway, the Roadkill Festival now they have a live band. They have, like I said, probably a couple hundred people. What's unique about it is, people. It's their hunt, so it's this is definitely not some place you'd find anybody supporting PETA, uh, but it's hunters, kind of that middle America, grounded people, hardworking. You know, Carhartt's probably the number one fashion brand there.
And
Cowboy
it's
boots
it's
and
it's
work boots. Carhartt before Carhartt
well,
was fashionable.
it's not the fashion side of
No,
Carhartt. It's the workwear side of Carhartt. So
yeah,
we can get
it's
that.
all workwear. Pretty much everybody, there it's definitely a middle class event. Families are there. This year, I took your mother for her first time, and because a lot of her friends were kind of wanting what the hell is roadkill, they actually thought, you know, we were going to be picking up dead squirrels and deer on the side of the road and cooking them up. But this is hunters, so food was everything from like mule deer breakfast burritos or burritos to um, elk burnt tips to trout, pheasant. I think there might even have been some bear there. I'm not sure, but pretty much anything you can hunt in Colorado.
And fish, it
People,
sounds like.
a lot of fish, and then pastries, but nothing that was made from animal or animal byproducts.
That's
And then a lot of
disappointing.
beer. Yeah, yeah, and plenty of food. I mean, they started. I think they start at 11 and they go till probably 11 at night. So it's a long day. It's on a horse ranch. Uh, the
So
previous property where it was
so
at was sold. This is a new property in Loveland.
so to get this kind of straight, because I'm somewhat confused by the point of this. That the point of this party is just to cook the hunted
Cook up the
meat.
kill and have a
Yep.
good time with friends and family.
So it's not the traditional I hunt to feed my family for the rest of winter or something. It's we have a bunch of
No,
hunting and
it's
let's
not
just
a
cook it all at
Ted
once.
Nugent. It's not a Ted Nugent survivalist prepper kind of thing. It's just guys that enjoy hunting
We
and
want to
want to
show off what we
get
killed
together.
and
I don't even know if it's that. I think it's gotten to the point where it's just a good party. But for those listening and watching in Europe, there's a lot of interest in that Western culture that is definitely part of the United States. I think the other close would be down in Australia. But my I had uncles that when they came to California wanted to go to Bakersfield. They wanted to see
I
country Western.
it's
So
interesting.
this would be a great if it was open like for tourism, you could buy tickets. I think people from Europe would love this party.
I disagree in that Europeans love country western for the desert country western style, whereas this type of party, there's similar stuff that goes on in Europe, hunting in
Yeah, I
a
would say.
snow forest, area, right, and fishing, that is the lifeblood of Northern Europe. That's how Northern Europe, survived, pre-modern times, right? So that
Yeah.
this type of thing, I think, is still very common to go hunting, go catch. I mean, you look
Oh,
at
I think it is. That's why I think it would be. But country western music is very it is American, and I think Colorado is one of those states where a lot of Europeans want to go.
I
And if you look at the popularity of even for people in the United States, a show like Yellowstone, this
Yeah,
people
big side
want to
country and
participate to see
everything.
that.
I
Yeah.
just think from what I know of Europeans and like Austrians, when you talk, like the west of the U.S., right? It's beaches and desert, and that's what I think people want to see, because mountains and forests and snow, and big sky country. I guess kind of. We don't have Europe doesn't really have the vast open area of flat land that eastern
Yeah.
Colorado necessarily has,
And
but the mountains and the forest, like that is, it's the standard, right?
but I think it's very different too. The mountain,
I think you're
the
more
Alps are different than the Rockies.
Yeah, I think you're more speaking to the country music and the cowboy boots and hats, which I think are more associated. I think people in Europe more associate the desert and the old mining towns and the ghost towns and all that stuff. Of
But
Nevada
you see,
and Arizona and
Colorado is that. Colorado's kind of that transition. You got the mountains, then you got the plains, and you're going into that dry western area. But I actually disagree. I think Europeans do see Colorado as that Wild West, that open area.
Yeah, but if you were to say, if you had a roadkill party, one was in Colorado and one was in Arizona, and it was elk stew versus rattlesnake stew, what's the one the Europeans are going to?
Yeah, you might be right there, but I would actually say not Arizona. I would say Texas.
Yeah,
I think Europeans
southwestern
associate Texas with being a cowboy.
As an American, I associate country western more with Arizona than Texas per se, but that's just because I'm
really.
Yeah.
There's there's no country western stars that come out of Arizona that I know.
It's not the like
the music. You're talking about the cowboy. So you're looking more desert.
I'm talking about not necessarily the music, but I'm talking about the pure like western on the railroad, mining towns and the desert. That's what I immediately associate with country, the West.
But if you're talking, you're right. Mining would be Nevada, Arizona.
Yeah.
But if you're talking, I think cattle and the cowboy lifestyle. Well, you even have in California.
Yeah,
especially Northern California. But if you look at from Montana straight down to Texas, that's cowboy country. That would include Colorado, and somewhat you could say even Utah. But Utah's known more for different. The Mormons than Utah's definitely different. That's a whole different episode. Which I love Utah. I think it's one of the greatest states.
But I think when as a European, again, this is just an assumption. If you say country western, I think U.S. where someone pictures it, I would venture guess more times than not it's going to be desert, cactus, a small mining ghost town now, but a small town.
That would be. I
Hollywood
wish,
style. The what's his name? Who's the cowboy from Hollywood movies?
Roy Rogers,
but Howdy Doody. John Wayne. I had John in my head, but I couldn't find Wayne. But John Wayne is.
Some of his, but his movies were based, I think, in Texas and Colorado.
Yeah, they may have been, but I just don't picture like grass cattle ranches. I think the desert cactus is more the. But
so I mean, if you really want to say that, you are thinking of. I guess we are digressing into what is cowboy country. Yeah. The person I ask would be somebody like Joseph in Prague, who loves country music.
You have to survey Europeans when I say country western. What do you think of like?
Or Ilse would be interesting because she looks at it as the fashion side of it. So Carhartt. I mean, she dresses cowboy up boots, for fashion shoots like a cowboy.
Cowboy boots, jean jackets. What's the collar thing?
Bolo ties.
Bolo ties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny because there was a guy there that looks like the lead singer of the band, and the other guy's an old cowboy. I don't know where he's from, but I've talked to him before. He comes in from a ranch. Wears the bolo tie, the leather vest, the cowboy hat that's kind of beat up.
Is it a jade bolo tie?
I think it is.
Yeah, that's a stereotype.
but Woody, the leader of the band, they kind of look alike. And usually Woody, he's from Cajun country. He's an LSU fan, so he always wears an LSU jersey. But this year he wasn't wearing one. I went up to the wrong guy and said, "Hey, where's Woody? Where's the LSU jersey?" The guy looked at me and goes, "You got the wrong partner, buddy." So he kind of walked away, but he stood by himself the whole time. He's an interesting character. But the nice thing about this party is that it is, salt of the earth folks. The Ime family puts it on. It's there's 4 brothers. One brother had passed away, but it's multi-generational. So mom saw the brothers, their kids, and their grandkids, and probably maybe I don't know, maybe their great grandkids there, and everybody has a good time. No fights, plenty of beer, plenty of food, good time. So shout out and to go off of that. I took your mom to some of the other towns with the Fort Collins, and that's north of Denver. And people say, well, that's not far from Denver. It's pretty far in that, you travel another hour, you're in Cheyenne, Wyoming, which that is a cowboy town. If you've ever been to Cheyenne,
yeah, we've done
why?
That.
Yeah, I mean, going back again, if you're talking about cowboy and country western,
yeah,
Wyoming,
Idaho,
that's their license plate. That's
Montana,
their university, everything. That is cowboy country. But Fort Collins, great town. I was surprised we stayed in Loveland, and I didn't think there'd be much there, but they have a nice little downtown. And of course, your mom says, "Oh, what great boutiques they have." So a lot of small women's boutiques. And she was saying, I wish they had more of this in California, these type of stores. So, but a lot of breweries too. I mean, if you're living in a small town outside, Denver's known, Colorado's known for brewing. Yeah, now that I say it,
it's Denver.
Weed, hunting, and microbrews.
Craft brews.
So, craft brews. And then we went into Golden too.
I want to say too, shout out just because I mention it every time to north of Denver because you see them on the road there, but it is home to the company that creates the bougiest off-roader and most expensive off-roader in the world, Earth Roamer. They're right off the interstate.
Oh, that's where they're at?
Yeah,
the big
just
giant
north of
one from SEMA?
Yeah, they're just north of Denver is their headquarters and where they build them. But they start at $250,000 and go up to $1 million plus for a pickup truck with a back camper on the back. Now,
well, basically, they're
super giant ones, but
yeah, all terrain RVs is basically what they are.
Yeah.
They look like a SWAT unit.
You take a big Ford truck and you modify it a ton, and then you add a really nice camper on the back, not a tow behind, but on the bed of the truck, and you got an Earth Roamer, and they are wild. They're expensive too.
I gotta admit, every time I go to SEMA, I gotta go to their area just to see it. I would love to have one, so if they ever want me to demo it and talk about it on the podcast and be the rep.
If there's one vehicle to travel the world in, it can only be at most 2 people and a dog, but that is the one vehicle that would get you anywhere in the world without a doubt.
Yeah, could you see traveling around Western Europe in that thing?
I've seen a couple.
I mean, you have to park it outside many of the cities.
Yeah, you can't be in a city at all. But I've seen a couple.
You could go to Chesky Kumlov.
We had a I don't know why it was here, but parked near the university. An ambulance converted to a international traveler. He was like going down to like Africa or something.
Oh wow!
Yeah. And so I've seen a few of them around, but
so all right, and cow. We went to Boulder too. So mom really
home of
Boulder's got a great downtown, very kind of hippie town. But she wanted to go look at the boutiques. But the minute we got out and went down, God, what's the pedestrian lane? Pearl. It's kind of famous. It's a walking shopping area downtown.
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I was gonna say I don't know if it's in Boulder proper, but
the university,
the most famous restaurant to come out of the Denver, Colorado area.
What is that? I don't
know. Arguably one of the greatest places in the United States. Chipotle.
Oh.
The original Chipotle.
Wait, you got to explain that in that. Yeah. Carson is like a Chipotle fan. I mean,
for sure. Who's not?
He knows everybody, every hack there is. You know,
I will say I have not had it since I take that back. I had it in London over a year ago, so it's been over a year since I had Chipotle.
Was it the same?
No, not even close. This is definitely different.
It's funny because that's your favorite Chipotle, the double wrapperias, but yeah, Chipotle is. I got to hand it to them. They made it through prior to COVID. They had the
nothing but success. Yeah,
the
E. coli.
No, they had a lot of crimes because they don't radiate their food and stuff. It is natural, so they have a great test kitchen there. I've dealt with them a little bit. Great company. But the other one of your brother's favorites, and I got him, it's mine too, is
the same
Chiba Hut. Chiba Hut. So some of our family that is into the
it's a 420 herbal, friendly a 420 friendly sandwich shop.
like what is what's the one sandwich, the blunt?
I don't know. I've never been there.
And you haven't?
No.
Ironically, it started in Tempe, Arizona, the first one, but the guy, I think he was from Colorado or Boulder or wherever. But I mean, they live the lifestyle. It's kind of funny.
It would do well in the 7th district of Vienna.
Yeah, it would. And quite frankly, I think their business model was to open up next to universities. If I remember right, they have delivery late into the night, so that frat house throwing the party could get sandwiches at 2 a.m. So yeah, Colorado's known for some great chains, and those two happen to be at the top. So, but final shout out, IME family, another great party. Looking forward to years to come, and Colorado, great state. Hey, talking about that real quick. In Europe, our family, can they watch Yellowstone and the prequels?
The new Paramount's now in Europe, so.
Okay. I just wonder if anybody's watching it yet, because I recommended it to them.
Yeah, Paramount Plus is now available in Europe, if you don't know. Shout out to Paramount Plus, because I do watch a lot of shows on there, and I know you guys do as well. I see you created a new profile for yourself on there.
Not me.
Yeah, you did. On the Ken profile.
I didn't. Somebody else did for me then.
Let's check. But it's available now.
All right.
So relevant. So this is something we were talking about pre-starting the show, but relevant topic because LeBron James is 36 points away from passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most points scored in NBA history. So relevant. So it's obviously in the news. People are paying $100,000 for tickets to see him, even though they don't know what game it may happen, which is kind of funny. It'd be amazing if, because I think they bought him for the game, the next game, and if he scores 34 and it doesn't happen until the game after, people paid $100,000 for essentially nothing.
Which, quite frankly, would happen to me if I bought tickets. It'd be
But so I wanted to bring. So we were talking about LeBron, and you have a stance on him. I will start this by saying my stance explicitly, right? So I do not believe LeBron is the greatest of all time. First of all, I think it is Jordan is number one.
I would agree with that. Kareem would not agree with you.
I think number two is a debate for me between LeBron and Kobe. I would probably put Bron ahead because of stats and longevity of what he's done. But those are my top three, and that's who I'm sticking top three, and I will, until someone else comes along, that is the top three for me. And so I'll say this,
you got Jordan,
and then Kobe or LeBron, one of the two.
Out of curiosity, where does Magic fall?
Behind Shaq.
Oh, and Shaq. Okay.
Shaq is up there for me. I couldn't give you a top 10. I could give you a top 3, top 5. Top 5.
It's too much of a debate. We could be here for days.
I'd probably have Shaq in my top 5. Number 4. I don't know. Shaq would be my number 5, and I think Bird would probably be my 4.
Yeah.
And I put Magic at 6. Shaq to me is, if his game was more all around, but Shaq is the most dominant NBA player of all time in his prime. No one was more dominant than Shaq.
Well, I have my opinion on all these, but it's mine is similar, but here's why. I actually take in the personality to what I see of them. Yeah, stat wise, Jordan to me is the GOAT. There's no debate. Kobe, I like because Kobe and Shaq are similar.
Mamba mentality.
Yep, but I grew up in the military. These guys both were very patriotic, loving of the military. Never disrespected anybody that I know of. And when they would interview it, they were just great guys. I think they did a lot for their community. And Jordan too. LeBron, I will say, yeah, he's up there, but I think LeBron physically is number 1 for just a physical specimen. I've said it before. If aliens came to Earth and they picked up LeBron, took him back and analyzed him, they would never come back to Earth because that guy, he could have played football, I think, and dominated. But I don't think he has the heart that some of the other players have.
If you gave him, if you gave Bron either Kobe or Jordan's mentality,
dude, I think he would be the GOAT by far. Not by far, but he would be up there.
Yeah.
So, and then Shaq, I just love because he's just like I said, his dad's in the military, respectful, smart businessman, fun guy.
Number 1 NBA personality of all time, Shaq. Not even close.
I don't. There's, in social media, I don't know any. There's no haters for
DJ Diesel,
Shaq. There's no haters for Kobe. I don't think there's any haters for Jordan.
There's haters for Kobe. There's definitely
are
haters.
They really?
I don't know if
you're more involved in social media.
Well, you had the
girl in Colorado.
Yeah. I definitely Jordan haters, but they respect Jordan, and definitely Bron haters, obviously.
I gotta admit, the controversy with Kobe kind of shocked me, but then I also have to realize who these guys are. I mean, if you're on a professional sports team and sitting the bench, you're going to have things happening to you, for you, and at you.
But here's so you bring up a good point with that, and actually did very good transition to what I want to talk about with LeBron, right? So
I'm here to help you out.
Thank you. I'm not. I won't say I'm not. I've stated my top 10. I've always been a LeBron hater, but that's since the day he played the Kings in his first NBA game. But I
have no idea what he did in that game.
It was just his first NBA game was against the Kings in Sacramento. No, he's an 18-year-old coming out of high school. But again, this goes to my story on LeBron. And but I respect LeBron because of what he's accomplished and what he's done and his longevity. And this is my stance on LeBron, not only in basketball but as a person in the world of NBA and business and everything. So the dude was playing in high school and literally had a Sports Illustrated cover that said The Chosen One, right? And he was the most hype high school player of all time in, I think, any sport ever. There's no one like LeBron.
Agreed, I think. Yeah. Wasn't he also the guy that got the Hummer in high school? Not the sexual one, the car?
Yeah. No, I don't know about... I don't know if he was driving it, though. I don't know if it was him that got it, but yeah.
That's what he came on my radar the first time.
But this dude had all the hype with him, right? And there's all the reason for him to fail. Like, there's every reason that this dude could fail. But he goes into the NBA, and he's still in the NBA. 20 years later now that he's in the NBA. 20 years since his draft. He's still averaging 28 a game. He's still a dominant force in the game. He may not be what he was, but he's still a very good player. Where most every other player has fallen off at this point in their careers. LeBron is still putting up, numbers that any player would dream of doing in the prime of their career. But that's on the NBA side, where I think I know your feelings towards LeBron, in that I think it's somewhat misconstrued. What is the one controversy you equate with LeBron, and what's the most controversial thing about it? And I think it's a relevant one.
I don't know.
Well, you always bring up, and it's an NBA one, but it's the.
Well, I think he's hypocritical. Yes,
that's the biggest
thing. His politics don't align with his actions.
Business actions.
You cannot criticize the United States, which gives him the opportunity to make billions, and then deal business-wise with a foreign enemy of the United States. But, it comes up to the balloon. And the fact that his shoes, his clothing is being made by child labor, slave labor, let's face it. And quite frankly, you and I both have stuff made in China. It's almost impossible not to. But then to say that is happening in the United States is
to not acknowledge,
uneducated. Kobe used to, and Shaq talk about the opportunities of the United States. LeBron talks about how it's so repressive, which is almost to the point of being funny, if not sad. So I think he is somewhat of, yes, he was the golden child out of high school, but my God, the opportunities he had. And I think if he had a good publicist, he wouldn't have the amount of haters he had. He would be in the status of a Jordan as far as in the public view.
So
across.
So here's the thing with that. That's it's definitely I can understand, and I agree with that.
And here's one. Can I add one other thing? Because it just happened. The recent game where he was throwing a temper tantrum at the end because a foul didn't get called.
Yeah, which they acknowledged. They acknowledged it was the wrong call.
Yeah, but he acted like a kindergartner.
Yeah.
Do you think Jordan would have done that, or Shaq? No, he probably would have gone to the ref and said, "Are you kidding me?"
No, Jordan would have been psycho.
But to collapse on the ground and act like a kindergartner, come on, man.
They would. I think that's more competitive than anything, but that's just my.
I don't think it's competitive. I think it's like a.
But again, so
whatever.
So getting back to the China and the kind of hypocritical nature, I understand that. I think it's a very valid thing. I don't understand, some of the stuff LeBron said on that, and it's a very valid point. But the point I'm trying to make is that it's the only point. So this dude, again, that had all the hype coming out of high school, had every reason he should have failed. He is now in his 20th season. He married his high school sweetheart. He's got 3 or 4 kids that all do very well. He has never had